Where's my camera? Ah, there you are. Greetings, divine mirrors. Sacred awakening, remembering gods and goddesses, one and all. Thank you for showing up. Welcome to Voices of the Global Awakening, a new weekly community enrichment endeavor, Tuesdays with TES from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, that I intend to keep doing as long as divinely inspired. And this is episode number 8. So far, so good. It's been a joyous and inspiring experience for myself, and fortunately, the feedback that I'm getting from others. So I am encouraged to keep going. Today's topic is going to be a life of abundance, and at some point, I'm going to be able to share with you two really awesome people. Their names are Kit and Rosie Volcano of the Little Volcano group. And I had the fortune of taking a challenge with them, an online challenge with them called the Get Yourself Together Challenge a couple of years ago. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. And welcome, Stu. And I saw that they're about to do another challenge, and I reached out to them and I said, hey, I would love to have you come on and chat with my viewers about your perspective on manifesting abundance. They are very charming and very colorful and very charismatic and very relatable in terms of their kind of rags to riches experience that they now are on a mission to share with others. So it should be a very rich and juicy conversation. So they will be joining us at some point. They had a 5 p.m. call that they needed to be on, and they will come directly to us from there. And in the meantime, we are always interactive, and so look forward to welcoming whomever feels inspired to chat with me on. In the meantime, I feel to share a song, and I've done it before. It's called Finding My Own Way. Living in a $1 trillion world, looking for some change. Banking on faith to get me by. People, they think me strange. Never been a one for compromise, trading my dreams for pay. God laid a promise in my soul, told me to find my way. I'm finding my own way. I'm finding my own way. I'm leaving behind the negative mind, and I'm finding my own way. Shutting all the doubting voices out, turning my back on fear. Tuning into my own true call, ready for what I'll hear. Breaking my ties with social lies, values that lead astray. Giving myself a brand new start, starting a brand new day. I'm finding my own way. I'm finding my own way. I'm leaving behind the negative mind, and I'm finding my own way. I'm rather weary of other people telling me how to live my life. It's rather dreary. Oh, say, can you hear me? Your status quo of strain and strife. I'm finding my own way. I let go what I think I know about anything at all. I release my preconceptions of this or that, or tit for tat, or writing on the wall. Everyone is free to choose whatever path they happen on. Liberation is a felt sensation in the moment of the remembrance of the deliverance of love. I'm finding my own way. Oh Lord, I'm finding my own way. I'm leaving behind the negative mind, and I'm finding my own way. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum, ba-da-bum. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum, ba-da-bum. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum, bum. Wow, just at the last moment there was this tickle. And I was like, please wait till I'm done. And it waited till I was done. So the show must go on live with imperfections, perfectly imperfect. Welcome Nadine, Niall Newlight, and welcome Atisha Graham. I love your spirit too. I feel you coming through the ethers because I have magnetized you and you are here. So you must be another myself. Our topic today is living a life of abundance. And the reason I started with that song, in case you didn't hear the beginning of it, was my first line was living in $1 trillion world looking for some change. I just did have a sip of water, darling. Thank you so much. So, you know, abundance is an interesting concept that our relationship with the natural abundance, that is our birthright, versus our programmed sense of what abundance is based on green paper with numbers and this conversation about earning a living, like having to earn our right to be here. And so it's interesting because, and I'll probably share this again when my special manifesting master guests arrive here, Rosie and Kit Volcano, to hear their perspective on it. But I just had this realization the other day that my relationship with that green paper has been very unusual my entire existence. And it has caused me to believe that maybe I am from some advanced civilization where we have transcended the illusion of this need for this false god of there being some middleman of anything other than the words on it, that, and especially in American currency, that say "in God we trust." And so that trust puts us connected to infinite supply, in which case we can just afford to be generous and we don't necessarily need reciprocity because we are giving from the joy of giving and knowing that we are connected to something that is always going to fulfill us. And so the concept of money and barter and trade and you know, a sense of balance and all this kind of stuff, that this concept has always eluded me. And you know, they say that a lot of healers have issues around money and you know, and that we're poverty conscious and all this kind of stuff. And I actually never felt like I was poverty conscious. I have felt like my relationship with that green paper has been sort of suspicious and mysterious and confusing, because it has always seemed arbitrary to me, like, you know, what dollar value we ascribe to some sort of a good or service is potentially based on self-esteem and like, who am I to charge this much? And so, or I want to be able to reach the masses, so I'm only going to charge this much. And the quality of the item is really a function of perspective, like how people are holding themselves and how people are holding the product of the service and how the provider is holding themselves or the product or the service. And so it's always felt kind of contrived and like a manipulation to me. And consequently, and I only just had this insight in the last week or so, it occurred to me that I have potentially been in resistance to the game of life, meaning that, okay, we are divine, immortal aspects of the one benevolent consciousness that created this entire play or show or game or whatever you want to call it for the purpose of entertainment and amusement, created the illusion of polarity, darkness and light, abundance and lack, all these different versions of this duality. And for the sake of entertainment, and then one day we all return to pure positive energy, and we realize the oneness, and we realize the infinite supply, and all this kind of stuff. But it occurred to me that, like, maybe I missed the memo. Like the game, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to incarnate in physical form in the hypnosis of mortal reality and play this game of a mortal, human, limited, frail, vulnerable, fragile, finite, all this kind of stuff. And so consequently, because I missed the memo, it's kind of like either the TV series, and I'm dating myself by saying this, I don't know how many people on here remember this, but the TV series Bewitched and the TV series I Dream of Jeannie. In both of those cases, we had these two mystical women with magical powers who were in relationship with partners who believed themselves to be mortal and were worried about these women with these magical powers, potentially being burned at the stake for sharing them, and sort of, force them to tone it down and to pass themselves off as human, mortal, and pretend to be as limited as everybody else. And so it occurred to me that maybe I have been spoiling the game by, and here I am. This program is called Voices of the Global Awakening, because the part of me that has been frustrated with this game of haves and have-nots and lack and limitation and of course, things like war and the fear and the threat of the other and all this kind of stuff has wanted this game to come to an end, right? And so it's been like, okay, everybody wake up and let's remember that we are divine beings and that this is a divine play and that we are all just characters, and not to take any of this so seriously. And the truth is that no matter what sort of state of lack we have perceived ourselves to be in, and what sort of limitations that we have imposed upon ourselves, the truth is that we have been ongoingly sustained at whatever level we have been willing to allow. So whether we have been willing to allow in the experience of a lot of abundance, or whether we have been entertaining an experience of a little abundance or almost no abundance, because even people that are walking around the streets, homeless, houseless, they're still breathing. They are still connected to an infinite source of prana, life force energy. What seems to be missing in their consciousness is either their sense of worth or their understanding that by sheer virtue of their existence, that they are entitled to an infinite supply. I mean, we've been hypnotized to believe that there are finite resources, and so consequently there has been a lot of resentment towards the haves by the people who perceive themselves as have-nots, because the acquisition of those resources has seemed elusive and mysterious. And so I have thought myself to be on this team of those that are here in the evolution of humanity to wake us up out of this hypnosis of mortal reality. I even have a group by that name, Waking Up from the Hypnosis of Mortal Reality. Alicia, what are you saying? I'll come back and listen. Much love and abundance, sweet, lovely Lady Tess. Aloha. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Bella Grace. I think this conversation will be right up your alley. And so it's like, so I have been operating as if I mean, I know that I am safe and provided for, and people can look to certain aspects of my 3D experience of what my character's journey is and go, oh, well, you have this going for you and you have that going for you. And, you know, there have been moments in my life where I have had the perception of zero resources. I remember, and my beloved here is on the call and probably also remembers using our Shell gas station card in order to buy bananas and you know, a few other items at the convenience store aspect of the gas station, because we didn't perceive ourselves to be connected to any other supply than that at the time. And I'm talking about like 30 years ago. So grocery shopping at Chevron, exactly right. So my point is that I have been in that situation multiple times in my experience, and the truth is that in the 11th hour, one way or the other, some sort of provision came through, and I'm still here, and I'm still healthy, and I am even more in that consciousness that one way or another, source is always providing, and the more I relax into it, the more I trust it, the more evidence of it that there is. And as I say that, I can also say, as I had this realization in the really only in the last week or so, and this is why it's so interesting that we are constantly learning. It never stops. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have said, I figured it out. I figured it out. I figured it out. And it's like I have this like aha that gives me insight into one micro aspect of existence, and then the next day there's like all this more, and so we have infinite lessons to learn here and infinite opportunity to grow and expand and practice, because we don't necessarily get the lesson the first time. The point is that here I am, having made X number of trips around the sun, and only this past week having had the thought that, you know what, here I am, and I have like, I don't need money, except I acknowledge that I use money, right? I use money to pay for services. I use money to go to hotels and to get on airplanes and to put gas in my car and all this kind of stuff. I don't experience myself as actively seeking money. And so consequently, I have maintained this story that I must be on the team from some advanced civilization that is here to put an end to this illusion of green paper being the source of our sustenance, when there's only one source of our sustenance, masquerading as green paper, masquerading as food. And that's a whole other conversation. I have successfully fasted for 30 and 40 days on just prayer and water. And so I have very specific feelings about all that is placebo in this dimension that we get to engage with for the pleasure of it, not the have to of it. So because I've been coming from this place, I've been like, okay, I wish we could just do away with this green paper and have everybody just give from the, you know, the inspiration to give, because we're all connected to infinite supply, and not worry about receiving anything back. And why am I the only one who sees this, right? And so I've recently had certain people say to me, money is a wonderful tool, and a wonderful measure, and all this, and it's kind of like, I feel like, why do they think this? It's so foreign to me. And so then I have this thought, well, you know what? I have been essentially walking around in resistance to the game that everybody is playing my whole life. I've been walking around in resistance going, no, this isn't it. No, this isn't it. No, this isn't it. No, this isn't the game that I want to play, which really puts me at odds with with everybody else. And there's a kind of lonely confusion around it. And so somebody asked me the other day, well, if you weren't playing like that, and if you were playing the game that everybody else is playing, what would be then? I'm like, and without hesitating, I said, I would be a multimillionaire. And so I was invited to consider the possibility that I might try on playing the game. So here I am, except you enrolled me in it too. Yes, I did. And we get to course correct every single moment of our existence. And we're still here, and we're still provided for, and nothing has changed. We can simply, if it amuses us, again, it's a get to, not a have to, part of the game of, okay, let's play Mortal. We're playing Mortal, and in the Mortal game, we use this green paper that says, "In God We Trust" on it, in order to secure our provisions and to do our traveling and to, be generous and donate to charities and do all these kind of things that cause us to feel certain ways about who we are. So it's like, okay. So right here, right now is a new moment. It's always a fresh new now. We always get to course correct right from where we are, and we don't have to beat ourselves up. It's kind of like the cosmic GPS. Like, you know how when you're driving and you miss a turn, the GPS will calmly say to you, when possible, make a U-turn, and or it will say, make the next left or make the next right or whatever it is. But it doesn't say anything about what a jerk we are for the direction that we have taken. That is part of our human hypnosis, that we beat ourselves up thinking that we should know better, that we should know differently, when all this is a school. We are in Schoolhouse Earth, and we are here to learn and to course correct and to experiment and to try new things. And I could go on the rest of my existence playing the game the way that I have been playing and trust that I will always be provided for. Or I can decide, just like playing Monopoly, it might be amusing for me at this stage of the game to take on seeing what happens if I let go of my resistance to playing the game called the accumulation of money, and I simply allow money to come to me, which reminds me of a little ditty that I don't know who this was attributed to. It wasn't Osho, but it was somebody that was a big Osho person that shared it with me, and it went like this, and you can learn it too. It goes, I love money, I'm ready to receive a lot. I deserve it, money's good for me. Everybody, I love money, I'm ready to receive a lot. I deserve it, money's good for me. One more time so you remember it. I love money, I'm ready to receive a lot. I deserve it, money's good for me. Somebody could type it in the chat if you want to help people remember it, and then you could sort of copy and paste it somewhere so you have it to refer back to. So I love utilizing songs to bypass the intellect and speak directly to the heart. It's a wonderful way to alchemize lessons and to sort of get them into ourselves in a playful and a moving way that, like, it speaks beyond just using words. So, and I remember when I first heard this little ditty, it was like, I don't know, 20 years ago, and still at the time I was like, okay, that's cute, but it's like really, I feel like what the heck do we need this for? We are all gods and goddesses in disguise. What does God need money for? So again, it's like giving up resistance to playing this game. Okay, so now I get to play with opening to receive and accumulating this green paper so that I can enjoy in my human mortal form being generous, being philanthropic, being magnanimous, and potentially teaching others how to play with it too. And so that was part of like the thing that I learned is that like, and I actually called this friend of mine who was and still is perceived as a guru who has written a book and used to do satsang on a regular basis. And when I met him, he actually wasn't doing that anymore, but I had already heard of him. And then I knew him as a manager to a band that was bringing forth very conscious music, and he has since gone on to be a successful playwright. And I actually called him the other day. I was like, I really need to have a conversation with you because I'm finding that with this level of awareness of like that we are all, I say the beloved arises in endless disguises. Hey, Rosie has just joined us. Hey, yay, I'm happy that you're here. I'll just tell the story and then I'll bring you right on. That I called this guru friend of mine, and I'm like, okay, so I'm struggling with where I am in this level of awareness, because like awakening really to the truth of our divinity, it's like, what is there to do? There's nothing to do. There's simply to be and allow and appreciate. And and I'm watching people who are creating, and there's people that I'm bringing on here in a second are just going to blow you away with their level of creation and opportunity that they create for themselves and other people and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and I'm going, okay, but I know like we're all the divine. So like, I don't know what I'm doing here anymore. I feel like all the things that I thought that I wanted to do are like already done. There's nothing to do but to wake up. So in the meantime, he said, so what I said to him, and he reflected back to me is, yeah, that's the thing. And somebody shared with me a Alan Watts quote, which is, know the truth and respect the illusion. So even though we can achieve a level of awakening that is like, okay, wink, wink, we are all the divine in disguise, we are here to play this game of playing human. And in fact, I think I'm going to write a book called Playing Human, Succeeding at the Game of Life. And on that note, I feel inspired to bring on my guests. And I can only bring on, okay, Rosie. Yes, Rosie wants to join. Bringing on Rosie. Accept. Okay, add. So I am bringing on Rosie and Kit Volcano. Hopefully the both of them are there. And if we only have one, it's epic too. Hey there, beauty.
Hello.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yay, I was just about to complete my introduction. So I came upon Rosie and Kit's challenge, which they're about to do again, called Get Yourself Together. I keep wanting to say get your shit together.
get your that. You can call it that.
Okay, yeah, challenge. And I think I did it about 2 years ago. And I just saw that you're doing it again, and I just started. This is my baby fledgling endeavor, Voices of the Global Awakening, Tuesdays with TES. This is episode 8, which I guess is the number of abundance, right? So perfect timing to have you on here. And I got so much from you. And I just love your characters, and I love your story, and I just thought you would just be such a beautiful addition to offer your story, offer your take on abundance, and inspire some people, and pop your challenge, your upcoming challenge in the chat, and potentially, I totally encourage people to come play with you because just delicious. You're just delicious. So.
Perfect. Oh, Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I'll go ahead and pop it in there now just so I don't forget.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Kit literally just got a headache a few minutes ago, so he was like, I need to sit
Mm.
this one out. So just so you guys know, he had to pop out. But I'm really happy to be here, and I'm excited to see you doing this series. It's really cool. I love
Thank you.
all your promotion and stuff for it. It's really it feels really exciting and really like inspired. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's life-giving. It's like it's pulling me forward, so I feel
aw.
grateful. Yeah, yeah,
That's the best way to lean into something new, right? Is if it's pulling you forward and it just feels
yeah.
like you've got so much energy behind it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
that's awesome.
mm-hmm, hmm.
Cool.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, I guess I'll just like start with our story and how the challenge came about and what we've been doing since then. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
All
Your
right.
rags to riches story.
Perfect. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the abundance theme. So my partner Kit and I started out as yoga teachers. We went to yoga teacher training together for our honeymoon
Nice.
in 2013. And we immediately moved to Asheville, North Carolina from Chicago, and we opened a yoga studio there. It's a very spiritual place, and it's a place where you can live very sustainably. We wanted to have our own kind of like sustainable farm and just teach yoga and just be these cute little hippies living off the grid. But what was going on was that we had never dealt with any of our inner um, worthiness issues around receiving, around deserving, around even just how basic business works, right? And so we were charging half of what everyone else was charging for yoga classes in the town because we wanted it to be accessible. And then what ended up happening was, about a year in, we were doing yoga one day and the power got shut off because we couldn't pay our power bill. We were doing candlelight yoga in the middle of the day.
Wow.
And that was the point where I realized there's something that's not working here about what we're doing. And there's something about our mindset that needs some help because we're trying to be these spiritual people. We're trying to live into this mission of ours to heal people and to help people because the style of yoga we taught, we really, really believed in. And yet here we were doing candlelight yoga in the middle of the day. And to be honest, eating out of our own canned food drive that we were running for the local food shelter. Um,
Wow.
we were running a food drive, and I remember I was about to go donate it, and I realized we didn't have anything to eat at home. So like, I took a box of mac and cheese from our own food drive to eat. I was like,
Wow.
yeah, this is rough. This is not going to work for anybody because we were exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally. We had nothing left to give, and we were teaching, 3, 4 classes a day, 7 days a week, um, and putting everything into it. So something was breaking. It was February 4th, 2016, and I was writing a newsletter to our whole client list, trying to drum up some business because we were $1,000 short on rent, and the rent was due the next day on the 5th. And I was thinking, man, I really need a miracle right now. And in that moment, I've never been one to hear voices in my head. I get information in other ways, but I've never been one that hears voices in my head. And I heard a very clear voice in my head saying, "Listen to Abraham Hicks." And at that time,
Mm.
I was anti Abraham Hicks at the time. Not anti, but just like that's too weird for me. That's
Oh, wow. Okay.
because we were still kind of like city people. We were from Chicago,
Okay.
very down to earth place. We were not huge woo woo people. We were into some Native American shamanism and things like that, but like we weren't really. Abraham Hicks was taking it to one step too far for a long time.
Okay.
So it was a real shock to me to hear that, and I was like, really? Okay. So I turned, and I'd never listened to it before. I literally had just judged Abraham Hicks for being too woo woo before that.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't even
Okay.
know what was in store for me. So and we had watched The Secret. We knew about manifestation, but obviously we were not doing it, right?
Hmm.
And so we
Hmm.
turned it on. I turned it on. I'm listening to this video in my headphones, and it's changing my whole world. And little did I know, in the next room over, Kit was scrolling on his phone, and the same video popped up on his phone as a suggestion.
Oh.
Our accounts were not connected at this time. This was not like right now where you could look on both of our YouTube history and it would look the same because we're signed into the same account. We didn't have paid accounts back then, so we were not signed into
Okay.
anything. Um, So the same video pops up for him, and he had also never listened to Abraham Hicks either. So he starts listening to the same video at the same time. He walks through the room and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're listening to this too?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, I really like it." So from that day forward, we started applying everything that we heard, no matter what, no matter how silly it felt. We just said we have literally nothing left to lose. We have nothing left to lose. So why not try something totally crazy? And so we did. And we started rebuilding our mindset from the ground up. And essentially, what do you call it when you just inject something right into your veins, like mainlining it? We were just like fire hosing Abraham Hicks. We were just like taking it straight to the face. And you know, the main thing that she teaches, one of her most basic teachings, is don't think about what you don't want, think about what you want. It's that simple. If it were that simple, we'd all have what we want. But you know, but it was like that. It was like, wow, that this one simple teaching is just so profound. So immediately what I start thinking of is Harry Potter. I want to be in Harry Potter because I'm a fantasy nerd. And when I am wanting to avoid or escape, I go into fantasy. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, but I'll go read a fantasy book. So I was wanting to check out of my life, and I kept thinking, you know what? I want to be an Outlander. I want to be in Harry Potter. And yeah, exactly. Pick a better thought, Stu. And so I keep thinking about, and I keep seeing the landscape in my head, the Scottish landscape, right? I keep seeing the Scottish mountains, the Scottish castles, all of that. And within 2 weeks of this, we got an invitation to move to Scotland and teach yoga there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
To go live with a famous yoga teacher for free in Scotland and get paid to teach at his yoga studio. And all we wanted to do was travel. Like, we had always wanted to travel, but we had moved to this city where we couldn't afford to even buy groceries, let alone travel or leave our business for a couple of days. So within 2 weeks, we get this invitation. And then within another 2 weeks, we get a partnership opportunity from some other yoga teachers to come host a workshop at our studio where we made an extra $10,000. In the same 2 weeks, all of a sudden, our yoga studio went from being in the red to being in the black for the first time in a year and a half since we had opened it. And wow. All of this just snowballed, right? It was just snowballed. And from there, we did move to Scotland a few months later. We just decided we're just done with Asheville. We're done with the yoga studio. We decided to let it go. We moved to Scotland, stayed there for 6 months. When we came back, we moved to San Diego. And it was at that point that we really got serious about going deeper into the magic of mindset and rewiring and reprogramming all of the beliefs up with that were still keeping us from really being successful. Mm-hmm. And that was through coaching. So it was through Abraham Hicks, through law of attraction, all of that. And then we actually got serious and invested in a coach. We took a first leap and decided to invest in a $10,000 coach when we were still sleeping on friends' couches. We didn't even have a place yet. We didn't even own a car yet. And we said, you know what? This coaching is going to change our lives. So let's do it. And we're going to put everything into it. We're going to put all of our faith behind it. And we decided to sign up for that. And within a few months, we had found a place in San Diego. We basically became the people who could afford to live in San Diego, and one thing after another started presenting itself, and things just started growing from there. Within a year of that, we went from, you know, hardly making any money to making 6 figures in 1 month with our coaching business.
And this is yoga, doing yoga still?
No, at this point, we had transitioned to coaching. When we started getting coaching, we went for coach certification. And what we realized was that we had always been coaches. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been coaching people through our yoga classes. Before that, I was a massage therapist. Kit was a hairstylist. We had been coaching people through our massage table, through our hair chair. We just weren't getting paid for the coaching part of it, right? Which I think is for a lot of people in helping professions. You're probably a natural coach, but you're just getting paid to do the other job that you're doing while you're coaching people.
Right.
So
Right.
We realized that. We started pitching ourselves as coaches, and within that short period of time, that's when we finally had that first 6-figure month. And from there, everything just grew. And that was all the way back in 2017. So our business then transitioned to a 7-figure business. We bought a house in San Diego, which was something we never imagined in our wildest dreams we'd ever be able to do. Had a baby, all of that amazing stuff. And here we are now. We're still running our amazing coaching business. We run a coach certification program, and we run this challenge called the Get Yourself Together Challenge, where essentially what we do is we take that, all of those really hard lessons that we learned during that time where we were in Asheville, first discovering this mindset work in Scotland, and then our first year in San Diego. It was kind of like all of these really big wake-up calls that we had, where we really feel like that helped us gain a huge perspective on our lives, not just on our abundance mindset and our ability to create abundance, but also every area of our lives, right? Because everything is a reflection of your mindset. So if your mindset is shitty around relationships, communication, self-worth, self-love, then it's also going to be shitty around abundance as well. And once you start fixing all those areas, everything has a ripple effect on each other. So, yes, we started making a lot of money, and that was great. But, what's even better than that is I can now say that as a queer person married to a trans person who has very Catholic conservative parents, and I have a child that's part of a 4-parent family where all the parents are queer.
Woohoo!
Which is amazing to me, right? But like to my parents, I went from barely talking to them, basically, assuming that my child would never have a relationship with his grandparents, to now having amazing, loving, healed relationship with them, where we can communicate openly with each other. We can still have our differences in opinion, but we can still respect each other. And I've taught them this kind of stuff. I've watched their mindset change because of the work that I'm doing and sharing with the world. And that's real magic right there. The money's great. That's awesome. But like, that's the other stuff is really where the real magic is. And that's where we see everyone in our community, everyone who comes to work with us, that's the same kind of magic that they get in their lives as well. And that's powerful.
Epic. How many people would you say have been through your program at this point?
So we've done the challenge 16 times, and each time there's about 500 people in it. And then we've done a bunch of other one-off programs and challenges as well. So we've probably worked with about 20,000 people over the years in these bigger events. And then when people come and do our longer programs, our more high ticket programs and things like that, it's around like 500 to 1,000 or so. And that just depends on which program you're talking about. The coach certification program, that's our main one. It's called Bizcraft and Coachery. And that's kind of like, I would say, the most profoundly changing one. It's the most intensive. It's the longest, it's the highest investment, besides like private work and stuff. And we've put out about 300 to 400 amazing coaches into the world in the last 6 years who also
That's so great.
Heal themselves and heal their families and heal their relationships. And then, not to like take up this whole time with me talking, because I want to let you talk too, but
no, it's great.
Okay.
I'm so happy. Keep going.
I think the most magical part of the manifestation that we do is the miracles that we do.
Say more about that.
Yeah. And this could be related to abundance as well, but really this is where the real magic comes in. This is also the part of what we do that we don't necessarily talk about all the time outwardly, if that makes sense, because it gets to the point where things are so freaky that it's like people are literally going to think we're a cult. but I think you can handle it. So
there used to, I don't know if it still exists, there used to be a website called Cult Finders, and I was on it. I was on it as a cult leader, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and when you Google the Little Volcano, you will see there's a Reddit thread that says, "This is a Little Volcano cult." We're totally not a cult, but when you get into like the deep levels of manifestation and quantum physics and meditation and all of that, freaky stuff starts to happen. Right. Yeah. And when you come together with a big group of people where everyone has the same intention, you see wild things happening. And so part of the biggest part of what has helped us create so much magic is meditation. And so meditation is a huge part of our focus in all of our programs. And we've done a lot of work with Joe Dispenza and Lynn McTaggart and those types of people over the years. Lynn McTaggart wrote a book called The Power of 8. And have you read that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. In that book, she talks about how she starts out as a skeptic journalist trying to prove that like group prayer, group intention setting doesn't work, right? And what she finds out is obviously all this evidence to the contrary, right? She starts saying, oh, it actually is, these things are working, or these things are happening, these intentions. And so she starts doing experiments. And what she finds is that you really only need a group of 8 people together focusing on the same intention, and you can have a massive impact on someone, whether you're focusing on the intention of someone healing or some other thing happening. But usually it's some sort of healing miracle, right? Or healing intention, we should say. Okay, so we started getting together and just doing little kind of experiments with this. Not that little. We would do them at our live events that would have anywhere from 20 people to 100 people at these in-person events. This is pre-pandemic. We have these 4-day transformational event. It's called Magma. It's just 4 days of taking the work so deep, and it's all day, every day. It's literally dismantling everything and releasing it. It's a lot of catharsis, and it's a lot of very, very deep reprogramming to make you feel, you know, free. Essentially,
what's the acronym? Magma? What does
it's not an
for?
acronym. It's just our last name is Volcano, so we're like, we'll just call it Magma because it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. We've tried to think of an acronym for it just to make it fit, but then it just sounds too much like MAGA, and we're like, no, it's just like the Volcano.
Okay.
So it's a 4-day event. It's super intense, and on the last day, we say, okay, we're going to come together. We're going to put our intentions together for one person. And so over the years, we've done this now dozens of times, and the person doesn't have to even know we're doing it, right? Someone will come forward and they'll say, you know what, my cousin has pancreatic cancer. Can we hold him in a vision of being happy, healthy, and free? And so us and the whole group will go together, and here's the wildest part about this. This is the weirdest part. What we would do, the way that we discovered this is we started trying it at Disneyland. Kit and I love going to Disneyland. And we're reading this book by Lynn McTaggart saying that the transformational experience is triggered when the mind develops a strong expectation of change. Meaning, if you're surrounded by an environment that makes you believe in magic, right? Like a church where there's someone in a fancy outfit, and there's incense, and there's chanting, and there's stained glass windows, and there's a bunch of people who all believe the same thing, then your mind is ready to believe that change is possible. Totally. Same thing with placebo surgeries. People going in, they do this ritual, they put on the scrubs, they put on the hospital gown, they think they're getting this knee surgery, they believe that their knee is healed, and then afterwards it's healed, even though they didn't actually get the surgery. This is a thing that happens, right? So we're on our way to Disneyland, and we're like, well, what other place is better than believing in magic is real than Disneyland? Let's try it here. So we start doing it on our own, and all these things we start visualizing are coming true. We start thinking, oh, we want a new client. Bing, we get a new client. This ride is over. You know, the other part of it is being in a place where you can become no one, nothing, no time, no place. That's part of like this powerful moment where you can create change. And that's also like when you're on a ride, when you're on a roller coaster or on a ride where you're in the dark, and all of a sudden your identity is just gone and you're just in the present moment, pure and free, right? And there's just pure potential. Then we start taking 30, 40, 50 people to Disneyland with us and holding these intentions in our minds at the same time while we're on a ride. And I swear to God, every single one of them has come true. There was the stage 4 pancreatic cancer that everything happens within about 6 to 12 weeks. We'll hear back from the person. They'll say, oh, the cancer's in remission. Somebody needed a heart transplant for a 4-year-old boy. 1 week later to the day, on my birthday, this little boy got a heart transplant, and he had been waiting for 6 months. 6 months.
Wow.
4-year-olds generally do not end up getting heart transplants because it means another healthy 4-year-old has to die somewhere for them to get that heart, right? And so we have dozens of these written down that have happened, from brain tumors to breast cancer to pancreatic cancer to, there was even somebody who had a sister who was a hoarder. And she said, I want my sister to be healed from her hoarding. And we said, wow, okay, I have no idea how that would happen, but let's do it and see what happens. Because it's not going to hurt anything, right? Like, she doesn't even know we're doing this, So let's just do it, right? So we do it. We do this for this woman's sister. And this one took a little longer. It was about 12 weeks later. She calls us. She goes, you guys, you're never going to believe what happened. And we're like, what? And she was like, there was a high-speed chase, and the car that the cops were chasing crashed directly into my sister's storage unit where all of her hoarder stuff had been stored. Destroyed, blew it up. And after that, she decided to clean out her whole house, to get rid of everything, and to basically have a fresh start. And she's been healed of that ever since then.
Wow.
Right? So when you really like, I could go on and on, but those are kind of like my big top favorite ones that we've done. So when you really start getting into the practice of this stuff, and you start doing it regularly, and you start doing it in a community where you see this stuff happening on a regular basis,
right,
then it starts to become normal, and then you start to expect things like this to happen in your life, and then they start happening. It's wild.
I love it. I love it. Yay, yay, yay. Oh, who's that?
Lamb Chop.
Oh, Lamb Chop. Yeah. Where'd my doggy go? My dog's here. Hang on. I gotta let you see him. Come here, Joey. Okay, come here. Oh.
Aww.
Look at that. That's Joey.
Cute. I can only see the top of his head.
But
very cute.
Yay.
Oh, they're both
Yes.
warriors. I love that.
Yeah. Wow, this is so good. So I don't know if you were on yet. I was sharing with everybody. Really, the timing of having you here is so perfect because I have lived my entire life not feeling like I had poverty consciousness, feeling maybe like I'm from some advanced civilization that has done away with the green paper, and like not really understanding why we're doing this, if we are the divine in disguise and we're connected to infinite supply. So why do we need this, like, pretend form of exchange, and why do we need the reciprocity when we can just be generous and just manifest more? And so the way that I have related to money has been like, okay, money needed, money comes. And I have felt like Mr. Magoo. So like, how Mr. Magoo would walk onto a construction site and he'd be lifted up by a beam and he'd be oblivious to that he was on this beam, and he's about to like step off of it and go crashing to the ground, and another beam lifts him up. So that's kind of been my life, like you, one way or the other, like existence has been providing for me, and I have felt like money is arbitrary and contrived, like what people decide to charge for something. And it's so there's been a sort of like a lot of like, why are people playing this game? It's really weird and suspicious to me. And yet, if people want money, I give them money. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you want to get paid for that thing? I get that. But for myself, I haven't really like felt like, why am I even asking for this? I don't believe in it. So I've been playing the game as if I'm here to change the game. Right?
Yeah.
And literally just last week, I had this aha that I have lived my entire life in resistance to the game.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to play this game, and yet this is the game that everybody's playing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I saw a coach of mine just popped on here, and he said to me, so if you were playing the game, who would you be? And I immediately said I'd be a multimillionaire, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, life is like Schoolhouse Earth, and it's all about course correcting, which is an Abraham term, right? So we're it's like we're experimenting and we're trying things, and I could probably go on like this for the rest of my life, but now it's kind of like intriguing to me. Okay, if I'm gonna like sort of get along with everybody else instead of being in resistance to everybody else, I'm gonna kind of open up to play the game now. I'm gonna open and play the game, and just like see how much I can manifest. And then all of a sudden, I saw your challenge coming around. Like, oh my God, I gotta I gotta have these people on here because I've seen your house. And I've seen images of your house and stuff, and you've done so well. And actually, I would love you to put your group together to manifest. I've been looking for. I left San Diego for a few years while I was taking care of my mother who passed. And then COVID happened, and I came back to San Diego. I've been here 2.5 years, and I've been just staying with friends, house hunting for 2.5 years and not finding my home. So I would love some of your magic on my manifestation. So what I want to ask you to share is, do you have, I want you to tell people about your upcoming challenge, when it is, and all that kind of stuff. And if you have just like a couple of little like magic thought shifts to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said about, if you were playing the game, who would you be? Because I totally understand that perspective of what is this money stuff anyway, and why do we need it, and why do we have to be a part of this, and this is just bullshit anyway. Who came up with this?
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's
I got the in God we trust part. So
yeah,
like, what's the rest of it about?
right.
Right.
And actually, you would fit in great in Nashville because that's very much the mindset there. Most of the people there, you know, they would walk in and they'd be like, "Oh, can I barter for this yoga class?" And I wanted to say yes, right?
Right,
And oftentimes I
right.
did. Oftentimes, way too often I did. But it doesn't work out so well for the business owners, right? And that was our biggest struggle, is because we also wanted to be of that mindset as well. You want to be, but when it really comes down to it, it's not our reality, right? So just shifting your perspective around that of, you know what, maybe I'll just play the game and see what happens. Not only that, but if I get good at this game, then once I have enough money, I can start to shift my perspective of it, because there's enough to play with, there's enough to have an impact in the world. There's enough to, like, for instance, you know, we have been doing these just challenges, and you have to have money to get people in the challenge because you have to pay for ads, right? So unless you have an extra $20,000 laying around that you can just play with to get people in the challenge, then you can't really do the challenge. You won't have enough people in it. But once you get enough people in it, then you can create a group miracle, right? Like we come together, and in a lot of the challenges, we'll create a group miracle for a fundraiser. And we'll take everybody and we'll say, okay, if everybody in this challenge donates $10 or $20 to this fundraiser, we could create a miracle for this foundation or for this person or for whoever we're raising money for. And then that becomes, you know, part of the ripple effect that you can do when you do play the game correctly. So then you just start to see the different levels, and you're like, oh, okay, I get this now, right? But yeah, so the upcoming challenge, it's October 1st to the 7th. You can find it. The link is in the comments. GetYourselfTogetherChallenge.com. It's $29. There are 5 master classes where Kit and I break down all of our biggest, most profound teachings that we've seen had the most impact on people over the years, including ourselves and everybody we've worked with. Thank you, Jamie. I love you. And the group miracles are amazing. Yes. Jamie's one of our most wonderful coaches. And
Yay.
she's watching right now.
Perfect.
And then you also get a call with your coach too. You get a personal one-to-one call with the Volcano trained coach. And so the community aspect of the challenge is amazing. You get to meet people that you will form relationships with. There are people who still are meeting up on a regular basis that first met during a challenge in 2017. So every time we have a challenge, it creates so much connection within the people who are there, because it's all live, because it's happening in real time. And we're giving you assignments where you have to go and meet other people who are participating in the challenge. You can't just do it from the sidelines. You know, that's not the point, right? So the point is to participate. So it's super fun. And yeah, we're super thrilled about it. So thank you for letting me talk about that.
Of course, of course. I'm in 3 online trainings right now, where I would jump right back in with you.
That's okay. There'll be another one. I totally get that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to go to Disneyland with you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize you were in San Diego. I don't know why I didn't know that, but so that's good to know. That would be really easy for you to jump into a Disney trip with us anytime. So yeah, we'll
Of course, yeah, I'd love that.
too.
Yay.
Yeah. So then in terms of like something that I could share with people right now that would be an easy take home for them to start implementing right away, to start seeing big changes in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Let me think on that for just one moment. Let me receive what's meant to come through for that. Because there's so many little things I could teach, but let me just see what's coming through. Yeah. All right. So I think let
Mm-hmm.
me think how to phrase this. Yeah. I think the biggest, most important thing that I could teach people, it's the simplest thing, but it's also the most difficult to implement because it's scary, is your emotions are your guidepost. And it's another Abraham teaching, right? It's about stop putting the smiley face sticker over the empty gas tank light. Yeah.
I feel that one. I totally feel that one.
Yeah. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
very prevalent in a community of spiritual people to put the smiley face sticker over everything and to avoid feeling their feelings when the negative feelings come up because they associate negative feelings with being bad or something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
they'll go, I'm fine, or love and light,
Yeah.
thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers.
It's dishonest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what that's doing is it's creating a disharmony between your body and your thoughts. And then that's kind of blurring the lines when you send out your signals to the universe about what you want to call in. You're sending out mixed signals. So your body is feeling distress. You're pretending not to feel it with your mind. So you're thinking, I want abundance, I want abundance, I want abundance. But really, you're down here, you're thinking, oh, crap, I don't have anywhere to live. Oh, crap, I can't make my rent. Oh, I hate my job. I have to do it, even though it feels wrong to me, or whatever it is that you're ignoring. That's what
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's the stronger signal that's going out there. And so when you can start to align those two and start saying no to the things that don't feel good anymore, and then start to let yourself feel the feelings that don't feel good to feel, but they need to come up to come out.
Yeah.
They need to be seen and given space and given the proper container to be seen
Mm-hmm.
and felt. And once you can do that, then you can actually release them, you can process them, you can move on, and you can bring yourself back into alignment, back into unity. I think that's probably,
Beautiful.
yeah, the most important thing for people to just get in alignment with your body. Your
Yeah, Abraham would talk about it in terms of like climbing the emotional ladder.
yeah,
So it's not about the bypass of jumping from not feeling good to, oh, I feel wonderful, but it's sort of like
exactly.
for me when I notice that I'm feeling badly about something and recognizing that I'm misusing my I am power in that. So the quickest place for me to go is to gratitude for identifying the feeling,
Yeah,
gratitude for getting to feel, which suggests that I'm alive, I exist. And so immediately I've moved from feeling bad to feeling grateful.
yeah,
And that's a step in the direction, but it requires a willingness to be with our feelings, to really like respect ourselves enough and respect our emotional guidance system enough to go, oh, there's something not right here. I need to love myself enough to be with that. So like the healthy adult is nurturing the wounded child and going, okay, I respect your pain and I'm going to hold you and we're going to work ourselves out of this
yeah,
instead of like, rushing over it as if all I have to do is put a band-aid on a broken leg and I'll be okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yay. Well, I'm so grateful to get to connect with you. It's just such a gift. You're so beautiful and
You.
full of light
You.
and joy. And thank
You.
you. Thank you. I hope I get to see you live soon
Yeah, me
somewhere.
too. Hey,
Yeah. When we
yeah,
get
I'll
our
message
dogs
you.
together.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll message you about something coming up this month that I saw that you might be interested in because you're in San Diego. So, yeah.
Okay. And I've got a couple of songs I've written that are based on the Abraham teachings. I'll send you links to those.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for
Yeah.
having me on, Tess.
My pleasure, and tell Kit to feel better. Sorry we didn't get to connect with him, but you're wonderful.
You
So
too.
yay.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay. Blessings. Bye
Bye.
bye. How great was that? How great was she? So it's the Get Yourself Together challenge. I really encourage you to check it out. It's just such a joyful group and inspiring and real. Just you can feel the genuineness of Kit and Rosie and how much they really care about their community and just being honest and authentic. Goosebumps, Jamie. Thank you. Let's see. I'm catching up with the comments because I don't know how she was looking at the comments while we were talking because I couldn't see them. Most of my friends. Oh, I just lost the screen. Where did it go? I don't know where it went. Oh, that's so weird. Um, Lamb Chop and Joey. Yeah, that's who we had on here. Whew. Okay. So that was just really, really, really juicy. So the conversation is a life of abundance, and that is what their next challenge is focusing on, October 1st to the 7th. And yeah, so it's like we I talk a lot about a what I call a spiritual reality check. And for me, that that is the how I sort of ground into this dimension and trust that this dimension is supporting and sustaining me, regardless of what the numbers are on the computer screen, or in the bank account, or green paper in the wallet. And it is a vibrational universe, and so I think that in order to be a vibrational match to that green paper and the numbers on the screen, it's kind of like the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom within, and all this will be added unto you. And so we have to be a match to the wealth that is our birthright in all its myriad forms. And so my spiritual logic suggests that if I feel my butt in the seat, and if I feel the soles of my feet on the ground, and if I feel my hands gripping the steering wheel, or I feel my arms resting on the armrests on an airplane, or I put my fingers in a mudra, then I am feeling myself connecting to the material plane. And the root word of material is mater, which means the mother. And the mother is the physical manifestation of the earth, which is why we call the earth our mother. And so when I connect and I keep a certain portion, so it's like, here I am, I'm with you, and the majority of my focus of attention is on being present with you and being an open channel in order to receive whatever is wanting to come through this vessel to convey to you my divine other selves in the service of evolution and awakening. And there is always, ever since I discovered this, and this is going back a long time now, a small percentage of my awareness that is on the places that my body is making contact with the physical plane. And what that suggests to me is that I am always 100% supported by the material, the physical, the mother, the mater, the physical plane. I am always 100% supported. And that is unequivocal. And no one can take that away from me. At the same time, there is a certain portion of my awareness that I am connected to infinite supply in the non-physical, as there is an endless stream of life force, prana, a breath, oxygen available to me. And so I am 100% supported by the non-physical as well. And so I am 100% supported by Mother, Father, God, physical and non-physical, at all times. And I, in this vessel, am a divining rod between heaven and earth, between the physical and the non-physical. And that one thought has done more to support me in feeling safe and provided for and grounded than any thought I have ever had. That one thought. So I invite you to consider this, because in order for spiritual principles to work for us, they have to appeal to our sense of logic, which is why that what we call woo-woo doesn't feel grounded and doesn't feel safe and doesn't feel secure. And if we are going to seek first the kingdom within and understand that all that is an outpicturing of our internal landscape will be added unto us in terms of that which is tangible in the physical reality, we have to adopt concepts that are going to bring us a sense of peace. Jamie, I've participated in and coached the gist that's a Get Yourself Together several times. It's magical every single time. I've only participated once and I absolutely loved it, and I completely agree with it. You are an inspiration, Tess. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much. So I really strongly encourage you to play with that, because just like I had the insight that I have been sort of living in resistance to playing the money game, which is part of the illusion of mortality. By the same token, in order for us to have a good experience here, we have to figure out how to feel safe that is internal, that is not dependent upon our circumstances. If we can't hope for our circumstances to change unless we change our internal landscape. So this is one tool that I am excited to offer you. I am also available right now. It's like 6:12, something like that. I'm open to anybody else who would like to come on and chat with me. We can talk about your experience working with spiritual principles, your experience with abundance. I know Gio was fortunate to have been born into a family of entrepreneurs, and so having money around has been a concept for him that he has been comfortable with since childhood, and consequently that makes him a wonderful coach for people who did not have that experience to open up, to get used to the idea of receiving. So I really appreciate you. I know you'd be willing to come on, and I will potentially call on you. I'm just wanting to see if there's anyone who hasn't been on before might want to do so first, and if not, I will happily call you on. So we're going to give it a minute, and maybe I'm going to check over my oh, I taught this little ditty at the beginning. I'm going to offer again for those of you who didn't hear it. This was shared a number of years ago with me by, it wasn't an Osho, little ditty, but the person who shared it was an Osho sannyasin, and it goes like this. I love money, I'm ready to receive a lot. I deserve it, money's good for me. I love money. I'm ready to receive a lot. I deserve it. Money's good for me because it's important that there be a sense of play about it. If we're coming from a place of desperation, if we're coming from a place of unworthiness, if we're coming from a place of fear, we are going to keep it away from us. But if we take it on like it's a game, and just like we play Monopoly, and it's kind of like how many pieces of green paper that say "In God We Trust" on them can I accumulate? It sort of shifts our relationship with it right there, and we immediately, like Rosie and I were talking about climbing the emotional ladder, we're vibrating at a frequency that will allow it to come to us more than than when we're coming from this place of lack. So I'm thinking about another story I could tell you, but I want to invite Gio. Come on, Gio, let's chat because you have a lot of wisdom on this subject. I am currently working with this man. I am in a program called the Incubator Circle as part of the Wellpreneur, is it Institute or Academy? I forget exactly what you call it. And Gio came on to one of my first live streams, and I was so impressed with his relationship. Did that not work? We'll try it again. Oops. I'm not um, able to access you right now, so I need to wait for you. Maybe you dropped out and need to come back in. Let me see. Yes, add. Here we go. Try that again. There
All
it
right.
is. We got you.
Oh man, I loved your last guest there. You guys are like playing ping pong back together. It
She's
was so
awesome.
good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah.
her, but it was you as well. I loved your follow-up afterwards. And yeah, super, super inspiring, man. I love your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I gotta pray, I gotta raise and praise you a little bit more, if it's okay. So I'm down
This is
here.
part of me opening to receive. Yes, praise, praise.
I'm down here in Mexico, in Playa del Carmen, and there's a gathering on last Saturday. It was called La Bamba de la Playa del Carmen por Paz. So it's basically like a peace gathering,
Oh,
but it was musicians and rap artists and poets. And man, I'll tell you what, man, Mexico, they really support their artists down here on the public. I couldn't believe the whole thing was free. I mean, I'm looking like, where are the tickets? You know, where are the tickets? This is like kind of a concert that I'm expecting to pay, money for, but they have these public performance spaces here, and they entertain everybody.
it's
And so
beautiful.
I'm at this event on Saturday night, and I'm like, man, this is where I imagine TES to be, like on the stage like this. This would be the beginning of something. And oh man, they had these beautiful artists, but I was just imagining you up there.
Wow, I got some songs, English and Spanish that I've written, and I actually have one song I wrote called "Rock Your Chakras in the Baja,"
Oh,
based on my, I don't know, 4 or 5 months living in southern Baja some years ago.
oh,
So yeah, I've imagined doing a "Rock Your Chakras in the Baja" tour, and then doing all of Mexico and then South America. So yeah, maybe we can get something started. Who
I,
knows?
I
I'm
think it's
open.
more than a maybe. I just see it happening.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And yeah, just to kind of dovetail on who's the person who was just speaking? What was her name?
Her name is Rosie Volcano.
Rosie Volcano. Man, that's powerful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, man, was that? I love the backstory and what she was saying about like shifting the mindset. And then, like I said, it was like a ping pong back and forth because you're sharing as well, like how, it's a very nuanced thing that you're shifting is what I kind of see. It's a very nuanced thing. It's a very small shift, but has huge implications.
Oh, you're saying me in my mindset you're speaking of? Yeah. It is. It's interesting. It's like, because, again, it's like if we look at everything in this dimension as a get to, not a have to. And as I started to share, it's like I've had two experiences of lengthy water fasts, 30 and 40-day water fasts that I've
Wow.
done.
Wow.
Yeah. And as the fast went on, my energy increased. And the way that I describe it was shifting over from a food-based operating system to a faith-based operating system. Because as quantum physics has shown, we are holographic beings and we're actually 99.99999% empty space. So everything in this dimension, oh, stop. I wonder if did I lose my sound?
Just for a brief minute. Just for a brief
Hang
minute,
on a
but I can
second.
hear you.
Hang on.
I can hear you.
Wait 1 second. I'm wearing a Bluetooth in my ear.
Okay.
And when a phone call comes in,
Oh yeah.
which I
can't stop.
Yes, I understand.
It kicks out my my Bluetooth, and then I have to like reset it.
That's okay.
But anyway, so we're 99.999% empty space. That means that everything in this dimension is 99.999% empty space. The food we eat, the animals, the plants, the everything. This is all like a mind-boggling illusion that we are a part of. And so the longer I went without eating, and the more energy I had, and please don't try this at home without more coaching than what I'm saying on this call. I'm available to discuss it with anybody that would like to get into it and support you, but don't do it just off of what I'm saying right here, okay? So and I realized that like all the energy that goes into thinking about food, shopping for food, buying food, preparing food, eating food, digesting food, cleaning up after food, all that energy becomes available to us. And so and I was shifting from a food-based to a faith-based operating system. And so what happens is I realized, and I have actually known firsthand personally a couple of breatharians in my life. One of them in particular that is a peace ambassador and goes all over the world speaking. I was her personal assistant when she came to do a weekend workshop here in San Diego. And we would have to tell her to take breaks so that the other people could get lunch and a snack and dinner. She could have talked all day long. She had so much energy, and we would declare a break, and then all these people would rush up to her to chat, and she would have infinite energy to chat with them, and she wouldn't need to go to the bathroom. She wouldn't need to do anything. She was just amazing. So what I realized is that food is a get to, not a have to. We've been given the gift of our senses, and we get so much pleasure out of smelling and tasting and chewing and swallowing. Why would I ever want to give that up as long as I'm in a body? Right? I don't want to. I like eating, but what a shift in my consciousness understanding that it's a get to, not a have to.
Wow, I love that.
So the same thing applies for money to me, because I've been like Mr. Magoo, and life has continued to sustain me with a lot of green paper, with a little bit of green paper, or no green paper. It's like I've been living, okay, money is a get to, and I don't want to play. And all of a sudden I had this big aha of like, no, it's part of the game of being human. I should play the game. Like, I'm here. I'm stuck here. For as long as I'm stuck here in this body, and prefer to be here in this body than to drop the robe, then why not open up to the money game, just like the food game? You know, why not? As long as I get that it's a get to, not a
I
have
love
to.
that.
It's
I
yeah.
love that. That's wisdom right there.
Thanks. Yeah.
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 Well, the thing I want to add to the conversation from my experience, like what's going on with me right now, and I think it's a, it's a relational thing to, maybe people that are listening as well, is one of the things that I liked about what Miss Volcano is talking about there is, sometimes we come up to these points where we're like, we're not sure we trust what the next thing is. And it has been my experience, and I had a direct experience of this today, that when we come up to those points, that it's a challenge. Like, it's not like, it doesn't seem easy. Like when we come up to something that's a challenge, whether it's money or relationships or food or whatever the challenge is for us, and we're making a shift to it, there's kind of this moment where things seem like they're going to be very difficult. And we're called to step through that. And that's been my experience. And I kind of heard Miss Volcano talking about that as well, because that's a bit of trust. And that moment of trust doesn't always feel like, like it's going to be easy. And that's kind of where the trust moment comes in. It's like, you don't feel like doing it. Like when I came down, I know you saw some of my reels, talking about coming down here to Mexico. And for anybody that's been to Mexico before or been recently or global traveling or whatever, like they might, hear me talking about, like for me that night before I was flying down here, man, was I in a tizzy.
Because
and there was a moment I'm thinking like,
why am I going? What am I doing?
I'm not going to go. Because it was like such up. And it's a very nuanced thing, these emotions. And so I'm trying to give the best description of it, because I went through another experience of that today. I met this wonderful woman here who is a Latina woman, and the universe like brought us together in the funniest little way. Like she manages the building here, and things kept breaking down in the building. Like the first time, like, oh, I can't turn the stove on, and it's got a touch thing with the stove that turns, and my finger would not turn it on. Well, she comes over and her fingers turn it on perfectly, and I'm like, you got magic fingers. And so there's that little bit of like, ooh, something going on there. And then I don't know what broke down again, but something else breaks down. She's got to come over again. The universe is like bringing us together. And she speaks no English, nada. And
so are you using the translator app? You using
a little bit so. But I know enough Spanish, and I'm also not afraid to step into the unknown, because I've done it so many times, just like Miss Volcano was talking about. When you step into the unknown enough times, and I think you have as well. You talk about the way I hear you describing it, right? The universe has supported you, like Mr. Magoo, every time you jump off a beam, and so. There's a certain thing about that, like reflecting back, like, oh yeah, you've been supported every time you've stepped off the beam. And so let's say maybe it comes to, like you said, hey, I'm going to play the game. And if I were to play the game like anything, I'd be a millionaire. And, the universe, of course, will present that to you. And for me, with this Latina woman, it presented it to me. And I'm like, man, am I gonna really get intimate with a gal who I don't even speak the same language with?
Woohoo! Well, you do speak the same language. I mean,
yeah,
right?
But not the same verbal language. And I'm a very verbal person. So, you know what I did? I said yes. I just said
So what
yes, I'm
happened?
gonna
What
do
happened?
it.
What happened? You gonna? So it had.
We went out for lunch. We went out for lunch today at one of the beachside, beach clubs here. We don't speak the same language, and all I said was like, hey, I want some help, learning my Spanish. That's basically what I said. And she knew what I was really saying. She knew I was like, I wanted to get to know you a little better. But
I need
man,
some help with my Spanish.
I need some help. I need some help with my Spanish.
Uh-huh.
But it really took, some, like I said, it's like, walking off that beam and just trusting it's going to be okay. And it was fine.
Love it. I love it.
So it's whatever, it's like everybody has an individual thing, whether it's money or love or, health and wellness. It's like we're called to these moments that they're going to be a challenge. And my word of wisdom to it is, they can feel like, for me, it was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to step off into this thing that I don't know. I've never been on a date with somebody that I didn't speak the same language with.
You gonna do it again?
What's that?
You gonna do it again?
I say so.
Woo!
I say so.
a little Mexican romance about to take place here. I'm excited for you.
Well, what I discovered is that she's not Mexican. She's Peruvian.
Oh.
She's Peruvian. Okay. And yeah, does not speak English at all. That's fine.
She owns the building. She owns the building.
I don't know if she owns it. I think she manages them. That was where the language it was a little lost in translation there. But she has 5. That's what I heard. I was like, whoa, 5. Mucho bueno.
Oh.
But I don't know if she owns them or she manages them or whatever. But yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about her and her family, and learned some new Spanish today, and learned that the universe will support me. Even if I don't speak the language.
That's epic.
Yeah.
That's super epic. Yay! Thank you for sharing that story.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, do you have an abundance tip for our viewers?
Well, I would say it's the same thing I had. I could totally relate to her story. And my quick and fast. Okay, so is it a tip or is it a story? I'll just share the story very quickly.
Okay.
There was a moment in time when I was, stepping off into this new career. I had a previous career as a landscape architect for about 20 years and built a very successful company. And, when you build something and you become a master at it, it's easy. But when you start something new, it's new. Right. And so I started in 2008, 2009, like right at the, when the recession, the worst point in time. And I had about $100,000 that I had, sold on my company and had available for making that transition. And I came to the end of that money. And just like Ms. Volcano there shared, the lights were about ready to be turned off. In fact, no, the lights were turned off. The power was turned off. And I was doing webinars online for the landscape industry. I initially started, teaching and training for that industry. The power is turned off. And I'm like, you know what? Somehow I'm going to figure this thing out. And so I ran an extension cord out my window and asked my neighbor if they could plug in so I could do my webinar. And I did. In that webinar, I was doing kind of a talk about the state of the landscape industry because everybody was in fear. Everybody was in fear. 2008, 2009, everything seemed to be quite dark. Doing a webinar on what the state of the industry was. And this woman comes on and she clicks on my link and she sends me a little note and says, I can't get on your webinar. And so I, responded and I was like, hey, click it, you should just click it again. But I'm very sensitive to people, and very sensitive to pay attention to what's going on. So this is in LinkedIn, and I looked to see who she was. And it turns out that she was the marketing director for the largest landscape company in America, for Valley
Wow.
Crest, about a $300 million a year company. And so she comes on, gets clicked on and everything. And pretty soon I decided to invite her to become a guest on the show, just like what you're doing right now. Exactly what you're doing right now, Tess. Exactly. I'm doing a webinar exactly like what you're doing. Got a little audience, and this person comes on, and then I ended up inviting her to be a guest because she was, you know, she was also very knowledgeable about finance and everything. At the end of the show, after the show finishes and everything, we kind of reconvene and have a little discussion. And she's like, wow, that really went well. Just like your show, you know, like your show is awesome. She's like, this show, you know, I love what you're doing. And she's like, I can think of a bunch of other things that we could do together.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, me too. And I was looking for somebody to invest because I had come to the end of my, you know, to my financial strings. And so she's like, I think we can do some other things together. And so I invited her to be an investor in my initial media startup. And long story short, within 30 days, less than 30 days, I never met this person, you know, in person. We're just doing a virtual conversation, just like you and I are right now. We had an agreement to work together, and she invested $30,000
That's awesome.
into continuing to do webinars and to produce training series for the industry and everything. And she had all these contacts, and so we worked together for about 3 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And the moral of the story is?
the moral of the story is that the universe will support you. You got to be willing, you know, if the power's turned off, you know, the question is, what else can I do? What else is possible? And I believe that the universe, you know, they put these challenges, just like this gal, you know, this Latino gal. I could say no, you know, I could be too scared, and I could be like, no, maybe next week.
Seize the carpe diem, seize the day, seize the opportunity.
Even if you're scared. In fact, I would say especially if you're scared, especially if you feel like, you know, I'm not ready. Especially when you feel like I'm not ready for this, that's when you're ready for this.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yep. Yep.
Which is my favorite definition of courage. It's not to be fearless, but to feel it and do it. Yeah.
Feel it and do it anywhere. Yeah, right, exactly. So keep speaking that wisdom. That's my, you know, we're singing in the choir, and man, your songs are powerful. I mean, the last time you did a little ditty, you know, it wasn't until like sometime the next day that it finally got out of my head.
Good. Well, that little money one isn't mine, but it's in alignment with the kind of stuff that I do. So
I love your singing. I love your singing.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I got for you today, and glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Gio, and I'll book a one-on-one with you as soon as possible.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Enjoy your unfolding romance.
Next time.
What's her name? What's her name?
Yeah, her name is Grease. So it's like Grace. Grace. What a name.
Oh, Grease. What a beautiful name. Excellent. Yay.
Yes, Grace.
Good manifesting.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being here. Bless you.
All right, bless
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay. Wowie kazowie. So I have a kind of a weird song that I want to share with you. I have rarely sung this song, and so what I do is, you know, not every week I have a theme, but when I do have a theme, I look through this big fat book is over 100 songs that I have written. And then I kind of narrow it down into a small binder of things that are sort of within the range of the topic so that the song songs kind of enhance the message. And so I go through that whole book looking for titles and lyrics that seem to be in alignment. And I came upon this one song that I think I maybe have sung out loud maybe 2 or 3 times in my life since I wrote it, which is 2001. Okay, so as some of you know, I'm the daughter of 2 Holocaust survivors, and when I was born, the nurse in the hospital told my mother not to worry, that she was going to have a daughter who's going to make up to her for everything she's been through in her life. No pressure, right? So, and it was because of really hard circumstances. My mother was the breadwinner. My brother was 9 years old. My dad had had brain surgery, so my mother's taking care of an invalid husband, working as a milliner, a hat designer in New York City. For the major store chains, the Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman. I forget what the other big one was. But, even as a designer in those years, this was well before I was born, she's like maybe making $45 a week, which, what my dad, I think, before he got sick was making like 20-something dollars a week. So it was a big deal. So she's doing that and taking care of my dad and taking care of my brother. And she gets pregnant with me. And so, people are telling her to have an abortion. And she's like, you're crazy. I lost my whole family in the war. And if God's gonna give me a child, there's no way that I'm not going to have this child. But of course, come to the time of my birth and like, oh my God, how am I going to handle this? So the nurse says this thing, which then gets told to me, and I'm like, maybe 3 and 4 and 5 years old, and this story is told to me. So I spend my entire life trying to figure out what to do to make up for the extermination of my entire family, 6 million Jews, 12 million people. Then New Year's Day 1998, I had this vision of restoring world harmony through the healing power of music by staging an internationally broadcast commemorative peace concert from the site of the former death camp at Auschwitz, where my family had been. And so I had this vision for this global healing concert that I called 6 Million Candles Concert at Auschwitz. And my vision was to produce this kind of like USA for Africa event with this anthem that I wrote that was orchestrated for an 84-piece orchestra called the 6 Million Candles New World Anthem. And at the climactic moment of the concert, we would sing this song and light 6 million memorial candles and flood this scene of man's inhumanity, of darkness, with light and high vibration sound, and in one historic moment that we would achieve a harmonic convergence that would wake the sleeping consciousness of humanity, and people would wake up, and we would have world peace. If one Hitler could be a catalyst for world war, why couldn't I be a catalyst for world peace? And so I had this vision, and it was published in an international newspaper that went out to 50,000 Holocaust survivors all over the world. And within 3 days of the publication, my husband and I were inundated with emails, phone calls, and faxes from people who wanted to see this event happen. And we were 2 like starving artists living in Los Angeles, pursuing acting careers that had no connections and no contacts. And then got a meeting with Steven Spielberg's people, and they were like, what is the music? What kind of music is appropriate for a mass gravesite? And I couldn't just go, trust me, I'm the daughter of survivors. I know in my veins what the music needs to feel like. And I went home and I went, okay, God, what is the music? And this channel opened up in my head. And first I wrote one song in 20 minutes called With All Our Hearts. And that was followed by another dozen songs, all exploring themes of war, hatred, and world peace from the perspective of a child of war. One of the songs that I wrote is this one. It's called The Red Tape Blues. And it's about my experience with pursuing a 501c3 nonprofit, and it was really like here I am, and it's in the lyrics here. It's like I'm this little girl with this like beautiful, innocent idea of wanting to create world peace, and everybody's asking me if I have any money, and just so interesting that we're having this abundance conversation and playing the game of being human and my resistance to it. So this is called the Red Tape Blues. I want to stage a concert. I want the world to see. With a little cooperation, we can live in harmony. I have this crazy theory. If we all could sing as one, we'd achieve such pure vibration that our warring would be done. The sight of this communion may astound you when I tell you that I want to stage this concert beside the very gates of hell. Well, you'd think that when someone sets out to do good, the doors would swing open the way that they should. Instead, I have met with such adversity in the maze known as bureaucracy. Red tape, red tape, is there no escape from thee? Every time I turn around, you're sticking it to me. Now with a plan so controversial, arose the need to build a case to convince the powers that be of the rightness of this place. So we drafted a petition and collected scores of names, got some letters of endorsement from some fancy gents and dames. Our proposal soon was published, circulation 100,000. Then came faxes, calls, and emails. The majority said, wow. Without so much as a dime or a fraction of clout, grabbed my spouse, sold our wheels, then we set about to gain support, to pave the way, till we hit some snags to our dismay. Red tape, red tape. Is there no escape from thee? Every time I turn around, you're sticking it to me. Now in the world of public service, philanthropic don't mean free. And there are plenty of professionals who'll assist you for a fee. My attorney says nonprofit is a privilege, not a right. So I bit my tongue and yesed him to avoid a nasty fight. And at $300 an hour, you'd have done the same. See, there are hoops you gotta jump through for your 501c3, for the IRS to appoint you a duly registered charity. They say fill out these forms in triplicate. Hope will issue you a certificate. List your methods of fundraising and projected costs. State your intended income, and our eyes, they got crossed. Red tape, red tape. Is there no escape from thee? Every time I turn around, you're sticking it to me. Hey, Arlen, what's the going rate for a visionary these days? That's a difficult question to answer, Tess. Duh. Well, we found a fiscal sponsor who responded to our cause. We were free to seek donations. Now we satisfied their laws. Yay! Then we sought out a composer who could bring my tunes alive, one who'd resonate with the mission, and we interviewed 25. Then one blessed day we found him. His sensibilities matched my own, but we couldn't afford to pay him, so we moved him into our home. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Next we bought a grand piano to arrange these many tunes. We learned his visa would expire come the very end of June. Seems the INS won't settle for proof of room and board. Gotta pay this guy a salary or our appeal would be ignored. Jeez, all I wanted to do was create world peace. You better sit down and talk with your ego, girl. You're taking things too far. Your name ain't Spielberg, you sure ain't Streisand. You're not some superstar. And no one in the world's who's gonna give, ain't no one in the world's gonna give you money, honey. Who do you think you are? Ruin my credit, ruin my sleep. Wanted to quit, but you know I'm in way too deep. And this is right before 9/11. Now my country's in a frenzy on the brink of World War III. My advisors try to warn me, this ain't the time for harmony. Huh? Gotta reassess your dream now. Put your plans for peace on hold. 92% say nuke 'em, but I swear I wasn't polled. So our story still continues with new catch-22s till the world comes to its senses. I guess I'll be singing the red tape blues. Red tape, red tape, is there no escape from thee? Every time I turn around, you're sticking it to me. Whoa, whoa, red tape, when will you set me free? You sag me down, I'm gagged and bound. You drag my dreams into the ground. Red tape, red tape, red tape, red tape, red tape. Wow. Wow. As I'm coming to the end of it, I'm remembering that I did this one woman musical pitch because I figured out that you can't just talk to people about the healing power of music. You have to give them an experience of it, especially if they're bureaucrats and they're academic and they're not living in their hearts. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to do a musical pitch. I rented a theater in Los Angeles and I booked, this was like in August, and I booked the dates for October. And then 9/11 happens in September. And of course, they're not going to give me my money back for the theater, and the show must go on. So even though there were curfews, I don't know if you remember this, but there were curfews at the time, nobody came out, but I still got amazing reviews. And I did this song as among the 13 songs, and I took one of those big spools of red crepe paper ribbon that you like decorate for a party with, and I was wearing a headset mic, and I walked all around the audience and I tied up the entire audience that was there in this red tape to have it be more multidimensional, experiential. So anyway, that is part of me feeling like the Red Sea should part because I have a good heart and I want to, I'm guided to do global transformation, healing work on this planet. And this was in, well, when was 9/11? 2004 or something like that. And here we are 20 years later, and I have yet to fully realize this project. So I guess in this dimension where we are playing mortal, that money talks, and so if I ever want to see that project realized, I either need to manifest some philanthropist or I need to manifest the resources to do it myself. So I'm willing to shift my game from thinking that I'm one of the people that's here to do away with money and surrender to the money game and open up the channels to receive. So pedal to the metal, keep going. 2001, you crazy. I am. I'm so crazy. Just the way Creator created me to be. Cray cray. So anyway, it's coming close to the end of our 2 hours. And it kind of flew by today, and I feel really grateful for that. I forgot to ask you, and I will ask those of you who have been coming on a regular basis that I really, really appreciate. If I don't remember next week, that you please remind me to invite you to click on the little bottom thing while you're watching live and repost this live event on your pages, maybe tag some people so that we can get it on more pages and exponentially increase the number of people that are watching, because the more people that watch, the more accelerated the experience will be, and the quicker we will get the technology handled and the platforms handled, and the brilliant minds that come in that are much better at this technology stuff and this marketing stuff and promotion stuff than I am, in order to attract the widest audience possible, to assist in the shift of global awakening, so that we all can have so much more fun playing human here on this planet, knowing that we are divine and it's just a role, just like my acting metaphor that I like to use on a regular basis, that, you know, a healthy actor knows that they're playing on part. They don't get playing part. They don't get so lost in it that they, you know, become psychotic, and their esteem and their you know, peace is dependent upon what happens to their character. We are divine beings. We are playing mortal. We ought to be having a better time doing it. And if I can support you in that, I kind of specialize in working with people who are dealing with existential or spiritual crisis, you know, whatever their circumstances may be. I've been through a lot in my life. I've transmuted a lot in my life, and so I feel capable of holding space for a lot. So if you'd like to reach out to me privately and have a little exploratory free consultation together, we can do that and discuss how we might work together. And if you have ideas that you would like to see discussed on here, please bring them. If you yourself have some offering that you would like to come on here and talk about and pop into the chat. Oh, Gio, please let people know how to get in touch with you if they would like to reach out, which I absolutely encourage. And if you weren't here earlier, we had Rosie Volcano from the Little Volcano and their upcoming challenge called the Get Yourself Together Challenge.com, which you can check out. It starts October 1st, only $29 online, and learn how to shift your consciousness so that you too can live a life of abundance. Okay, so what else do I want to say to you in our final 3 minutes? Yeah, so we're, you know, I want to be growing this community and keeping this going as long as is divinely inspired. And Wellpreneur community on Facebook, that's a way to get hold of Geo. And let's see in my notes. Yeah, so it's like in the description for this, if you want to check it out, you can see all sorts of different ways to participate and to support this community enrichment endeavor that Spirit has inspired me to put out there. And I am delighted to engage with you and to hold space for the divine genius in you to be seen and heard, because we all have a piece of the puzzle, and we were all created with our own unique perspective to share with one another. So it is delicious and delightful to come together in this way and enjoy the miracle of our embodiment. So, just taking a moment to be with you in presence. Love you, Bella. Yeah, you had a topic you want to bring, so bring it, okay? I don't remember what it was right now, but it was a good one. So please come on one time and bring that with you. Yay. Well, God, Goddess, bless each and every one of us, and may we tune in to the feeling of abundance that is our birthright, that is already naturally within us. And as we tune into it, may we open to receive the physical, tangible manifestation of it in this dimension where we get to play in these awesome bodies with all these tremendous gifts that we have to share. I will see you next week. Namaste.